I live in the shadows. Get yourself a seat in the sunboat. If you have nothing to say, don't say it. Dare to be a non-violent, poetic guerrilla, an anti-hero. Raise the blinds, throw open your shuttered windows, raise the roof, unscrew the locks from the doors, but don't throw away the screws. Don't destroy the world unless you have something better to replace it. If you would snatch fame from the flames, where is your burning bow? Where are your arrows of desire? Where are your wit on fire? When the poet lets down his pants, his ars poetica should be ugly. Giving rise to lyric erections. The master class starts wars. The lower classes fight them. Governments lie. The voice of the government is often not the voice of the people. Speak up, act out. Silence is complicity. Be the gadfly of the state and also its firefly. Wake up, the world's on fire. Have a nice day. The next section is a development of an earlier book called What is Poetry? As I said, this is still an ongoing project, this book. What is poetry? Love, lie with me, and I will tell. Poetry is what we would cry out upon coming to ourselves in a dark wood in the middle of the journey of our life. Poems are burning bows. Poems are arrows of desire. Poetry gives words to the heart. Poetry is the truth that reveals all lies, the face without mascara. What is poetry? Wind stirs the grasses, howls in the passes. Voice lost and dreaming, door floated over the horizon. Oh, drunk flute, oh, golden mouth, kiss, kiss in stone boudoirs. What is poetry? A clown laughs, a clown weeps, dropping his mask. First light and a dark bird wings away. It's a poem. There are three kinds of poetry. Supine poetry accepts the status quo. Sitting poetry, written by the sitting establishment, has a bottom line dictated by its day job. Standing poetry is the poetry of commitment, sometimes great, sometimes dreadful. The idea of poetry as an arm of class war disturbs the sleep of those who do not wish to be disturbed in their pursuit of happiness. The poet, by definition, is the bearer of eros and love and freedom, and thus the natural-born, non-violent enemy of the state. It is the ultimate resistance. The poet, a subversive barbarian at the city gates, non-violently challenging the toxic status quo. Dissident poetry is not un-American. It is the voice within the voice of the turtle. It is the face behind the face of the race. It is the voice of the fourth person singular. Poetry, the last lighthouse in rising seas. Well, I don't want to bore you with all 87 pages. The last part is a section called Forethoughts. And well, I'll just... It's 3 pages. I guess it won't take long. Modern poetry is prose. This was written in 1978. I'm thumbing. It's still true, I think. I am thumbing through a great anthology of contemporary poetry, and it would seem that, quote, the voice that is great within us, unquote, sounds within us mostly in a prose voice, albeit in the topography of poetry, which is not to say it is prosaic or has no depths, which is not to say it is dead or dying or not lovely or not beautiful or not well written or not witty and brave. It is very much alive, very well written, lovely, lively prose. Prose that stands without the crutches of punctuation. Prose whose syntax is so clear it can be written all over the page, in open forms and open fields, and still be very clear, very dear prose. And in the topography of poetry, the poetic and the prosaic intellect masquerade in each other's clothes. Walking through our prose buildings in the 21st century or later, one may look back and wonder at this strange age which allowed poetry to walk in prose rhythms and still call itself poetry. Modern poetry is prose because it sounds as subdued as any city man or woman whose life force is submerged in urban life. Modern poetry is prose because it doesn't have much duende, dark spirit of earth and blood, no soul of dark song, no passion music. Like modern sculpture, it loves the concrete. Like minimal art, it minimizes emotion in favor of understated irony and implied intensity. As such, it is the perfect poetry for a technocratic man. But how often does this poetry rise above the mean sea level of his sparkling plain? Ezra Pound once decanted his opinion that only in times of decadence does poetry separate itself from music. And this is the way the world ends, not with a song, but a whimper.